All right. You never know what's going to happen in my kitchen, huh? Lucky we're not out of air. The second thing we're going to mix while this one is working is a basic biscuit dough. This is going to take some time to blend together, you see. And the biscuit is so easy. It's a kick. For a sourdough biscuit, we want another 2 cups of dough. Now we've proofed this, remember? With the starter, we blended another 1.5 cups of flour, 1.5 cups. Look at this one. Look at this one. So we're going to add that to our mixer. And in this one, we'll not need to add, but we'll add 2 cups of batter. That's about right. This is proof batter. It's been sitting out overnight. You see, make this the night before and just let it sit in the kitchen and burp and gurgle. Isn't that fun? I just love it. And then to this, we're going to add, let's see here. What have we got? 2 cups. We're going to add 2 3/4 cups of flour. Is that doing all right? Fine. And I think we can just throw it right in. And this will all mix up beautifully. 1, 2. You don't have to worry about this if you have a machine. Otherwise, you have to do it by hand. 2 3/4 cups of flour. And we're going to add a tablespoon of baking. Now, this one has baking powder and baking soda in it rather than yeast. And it'll rise by itself. So for baking powder, we're going to add, there we go. We're going to add about a tablespoon of baking powder. And we're going to add about a ½ teaspoon of baking soda, So we've got baking powder and baking soda in this. And a pinch of salt. Let's see. Where we go? Where's the salt? Salt, 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 salt. Here it is. A little bit of salt. Now, what you can do is to throw in some butter. We want a 1/4 stick of butter or so to make this very rich. And just if it's fairly soft, you can just put it in. If it's not soft, then you can stir it into the dry part of the dough to start with. That'll work very well. And we want a ½ cup of milk. You give me some milk, David, please? And we'll get this going right now. Thank you. Set it right down, please. Thanks, sir. Don't you wish you had people to help you in the kitchen? It's the only way I can function. You want ½ cup of milk. There we are. Let that go for a time, and pretty soon we'll have a wonderful biscuit dough. There, that's doing well. That's doing well. If you want to put a dough hook on this, it will knead itself. That's an old hymn, isn't it? I knead thee every hour. Stop it. You see, this is a dough hook that will go on this machine, and it'll knead it all by... I've got to put a dough hook on my other one now because it's finished. Oh, this is... Let me show you what I have here. This is how a dough hook functions, and it's a wonderful blessing if you're a serious bread freak. And I am. I love to bake bread. You know, Jason was called Starch Mouth when he was a little kid. He would eat bread. Oh, he was terrible. I don't think he was terrible. He loved the stuff. He still does. So this one's for Jason. Whenever I bake bread, I think of him sitting in his high chair. Good Lord, he's almost 6'4" now, and he calls me Shorty. But I remember when he was a little kid with a smile on his face, and it would come from a big loaf of fresh bread that I just baked. So to this day, whenever I bake bread, I'm sure that Jason's going to be around. One way to get him to come home. It's all right to be divisive with your kids. If you know bread brings them home, bake bread. What's the difference? Now, I'm going to put the dough hook on. Here's the dough hook, you see? We'll put this on the machine because I've added only 4 cups of flour, and I want to knead in. I want to knead in 1 more cup. And we'll just let the machine, the old dough hook, do it. Okay, where's the pin? There it is. Turn her on. 1 more cup of flour. And let her go. Okay. There we've got it. This one's doing fine. This one needs a dough hook too. Let's change it, huh? Oh, I think we're all right. We'll just knead that one by hand. I think it's ready. The biscuits are easy to do. The dough needs to be kneaded a bit by hand, unless you put on the dough hook. But I told you I wanted to play with the dough a bit. I feel a lot better. Wasn't it Cummings? It was Cummings who said something about a baker and touching the bread and making the stool maker who makes a stool. And if he's happy, the stool's going to balance. And if he's happy, the bread's going to taste good. I think there's something to that. So let's roll our basic dough here for biscuits that have a sourdough flavor to them. Put it in the old board. I've got a marble board here, you see? This is a kick. And just knead it in. There we are. And eventually, as you knead, this will stop sticking to your hands, to your body, to the marble. It rarely sticks to marble. That's the wonderful part. I need a little more flour on this, I think. There we go. Playing with the dough is so much fun. Please get your kids into this. They would just love it. Teach them to knead with the heel of their hand. You lean in on the dough. See? Fold it over, lean in, fold it over, lean in, fold it over, lean in, fold it. Talk to the dough. Remember I told you once that I was convinced that's how grandmas used to maintain their sanity? They would knead dough, and when they had a problem in terms of their own frustrations or anxiety, they'd go out and bake a batch of bread, and Grandma never saw a shrink. You know, she always knew what was going on. Okay, spread that out now to, about half an inch thick. You don't have to roll it, just pull it and punch it until you get something about half an inch thick. And we'll cut it with a jelly jar or a jelly glass, or if you're really high class, you can use a biscuit cutter. But I'm going to use a jelly glass. Here we are. And here's a biscuit, you see? We'll put this rascal on the tray. I have a whole batch I've already baked for you. Calm down there. We're done with you. The dough is ready. I can knead that again, but I have some dough that I've left rise. The biscuits you want to put on a tray and let them rise for about 30 minutes. Bread, of course, will take much longer. But when you bake those biscuits, let me show you something. There you are. Now, these are sourdough biscuits. They have a flavor that's simply stupendous. Just wonderful. Aren't they gorgeous? Now, I have some dough, some French bread dough, already sitting about. Let me show you what I've done. See if I can figure out which one is here. I found it. Here it is. I keep mine on a Formica table upside down, and I just let it sit about until it begins to rise the first time around, and then punch it down and mold your loaves. This is very simple. Then let the loaves rise for a time, and we want to bake them in about a 375-degree oven. This will make 2 nice loaves. Just roll them. And here's the easiest way to do this. For me to make a quick French toast. You see, lay it down and put your hands out and just roll and move your hands out to the edge. Go back again, move it out to the edge. And you'll have a French loaf of nothing flat, you see? There. All right, let that rise a second time. And once it does, that'll be another hour or so. Once it does, make a slit in it. You see? Make a slit in it with your knife, and then the dough will begin to open up after it rises. Well, let me show you what happens. Put that on your pan, and I use cornmeal on a cookie sheet, because cornmeal is a wonderful ball bearing, and it means you don't have to add, yes, I said ball bearing, that's right. You don't have to add a lot of oil that way. Just put it on the old rack, let the loaf rise on the cornmeal, and you can slide it around. As a matter of fact, you can slide it onto hot bricks, and that's really the way I think this sort of thing should be baked. There's an outfit making, I want you to see this. I think it's a scream. My oven is loaded with bricks. There's an outfit that's making a series of these are tiles, floor tiles from Italy. They're literally floor tiles. He puts them on an aluminum tray. It's called Bread from the Hearth or something like that. I think the title's rather corny, but the item is great because you can slide your bread. Watch this. You put it in the oven, you're doing this now with a paddle or something. Once you're ready to go, jiggle the bread and slide it right onto the hot brick. Well, all right, try and hit the center. Try to hit the center. You'll get a wonderful crust that way because the brick will absorb the moisture, and you'll get a nice crusty thing. That's what the Europeans used to do, remember? Always brick ovens. One more I want you to see. I have another batter here for you. I simply added a bit of, here it is. It behaves. Isn't this wonderful? I simply added a bit of, can you see it? Chopped green chilies. They come in a little tin. What do they call them? They call them chopped green chilies. Little tin of these things, you see? You're going to go Ortega. These happen to be old El Paso brand. Either one. Mix it into your French dough and then cut it into rolls. And look what you have. These are so good. They stop traffic. Here we are. Here we have French rolls made, well, they're not French. They're sourdough. And they have, let me show you, they have jalapeno peppers in them. Oh, you see the specks? Oh, these are so good. The flavor is just wonderful. I want you to be able to celebrate bread without any difficulty at all so that when your kids grow up, they will understand that there's a sense in which the memory of a fresh-baked, oh, Lord, there's a memory of the fresh-baked loaf of bread helps you understand who you are and what you were and what you want to become. I want to become a family of bread bakers. We've done sourdough today, enjoying real American cooking with rolls and bread and maybe some peppers in your dough. So cook together and have a good time. This is the Frugal Gourmet. Till I see you again, I bid you peace. Bye-bye.